How are you today? I have a lot of clients that have little kids, maybe teenagers, raising kids, and they think, okay, what am I going to do? Well, first of all, nobody's perfect. There is no perfect parent. If you can walk away and sit back and say, I did the best I can, you're going to notice. You're going to have mistakes. We all make mistakes. There's no manual. Your kids are also going to remember things different than you do. So all that you can do is act in love, always keep love first, and do the best that you can do. You have to be consistent. Be consistent. Have some kind of structure. When we're talking about little kids, consistency is really important. Structure is really important. Um, Discipline makes them feel safe. Structure makes them feel safe. So a lot of people feel bad. There's toddlers like crying, they want this or that. But in reality, they're going to feel safer if they have a structured environment and if they are not allowed to run rampant. Now, smacking them on the butt is not necessarily the answer. And I'm not going to get into a debate about should we hit our children or not. But we have to, pick your battles. Don't fight about everything. Be consistent, be quick, right? A toddler's not going to remember an hour ago what they did. So take care of it, nip it in the bud. For instance, they're in their high chair, they're throwing their food all over the place. Okay, take the food away, clean them up, take them out of the chair right away. If they're hitting you, time out right away, and let the punishment fit the crime. You don't put them away for an hour. If they're 1 minute, 2 minute, um I do agree with that. But then they get a little older, and one thing I found is a lot of times we have either divorced parents or maybe they were never married. It makes it difficult because there's a lot of bitter feelings. And all this stuff might seem like common sense, but seriously, it matters. I mean, if you're bitter towards their other parent, that shows, even if you're not talking about it. One thing I've learned from my kids is they can sense things. So you have to be really clear, try to walk in forgiveness. If you can't, stay away from that. Like, try not to think about that other parent in a way that relates to your children, because you just want to stay like a neutral ground. Okay, answer questions as they ask them. Don't give them too much information, and answer at the level that they'll understand, whether it be about the other parent, whether it be about anything about you, whatever it is. I think sometimes we tend to overload them with information, or even if you're saying something about the other person and you don't think they're listening, chances are they are. Sometimes they'll take our anger or our resentment or even our sadness as a reflection of them or how we feel towards them, not the other parent. So we have to be really aware of what's going on inside of them. If you maintain structure and a good open relationship, and honesty is always good. I hear a lot of parents say, I don't want to cry in front of my children, or I don't want to get upset in front of my children, or I got angry in front of my kids, and then there's no explanation. First of all, there's nothing wrong with saying you're sorry. If you lose your temper, and we're all going to make mistakes, okay? There's nothing wrong with going to your child and saying, mommy or daddy is sorry that he or she said something or reacted in that way, and I'm sorry that you saw that because that wasn't right of me. And sometimes some parents even let the child say, okay, you go in a timeout or whatever. I don't know how far I'd take that, but there's nothing wrong with saying you're sorry. It teaches your child to take personal responsibility and to admit when they're wrong. It also teaches them that they can be wrong. Another thing is when you're upset. For years, I was like, I can't let my kids see me cry. And believe me, I am the queen of mistakes in parenting. I'm just telling you what I've learned through my clients and through my own experience. And I have come to the realization that your children need to know that you are not all powerful, that you do have feelings, that you are a real person. Because if you never get upset, if you never cry, if you never show any kind of emotion, they will come to think that you don't have any. So if you let them see you as a little bit vulnerable, it's not a bad thing. Be as open and honest as possible, again, without giving them too much information. Only give them what they can comprehend. And a good way to judge that is listen to what they're asking you and answer that. And don't elaborate, because they can only comprehend so much. Our children naturally want to help us. So if we're upset, they want to come to us and help us. There's nothing wrong with being honest with them. Even if it's okay, honey, mommy will be all right. I'm just really sad right now. And thank you for your hug. And that's all you need to do. As they get older, if you're a staunch disciplinarian and you don't listen to your child, they're going to resist you. They're not going to be honest with you. They're going to lie to you. Now, we know there's that old saying, if your teenager's lips are moving, they're lying. Not necessarily true. But I do believe that if there is this big separation between parent and child, they're more apt to lie to you. At the same time, you have to maintain that you are parent and they are child. You are not their friend, you're their parent. You are doing them a big disservice by befriending them. They need to know that you love them unconditionally. No matter what they do, you will not stop loving them. However, you are there to mold them and train them and show them what life is all about and have them be the best person that they can be. Therefore, there are times when you are the role of the bad guy. And as long as it's discipline and not punishment, punishment isn't good. It doesn't teach anything except a low self-esteem. Parents tend to either punish or ignore. A child that is ignored is going to feel like they're not cared about. Again, they need structure, even up to teenage years. If you let everything go, it's not doing them any favors, even though they may act like it is. Another thing that's an old expression is, if your teenager is happy with you, you're doing something wrong. True to a degree. You're not their friend, you're their parent. And they will absolutely thank you for that later on down the road. If there's something dangerous or life-threatening, like drug addiction or cutting or something like that, you absolutely have to work on that. If you need help, go to outside sources. But you know what? Don't talk crap about your kids. When our kids find out that you're talking what they call crap about them, you might be talking to your best friend, but they hear you on the phone saying, Junior's doing this and Junior's doing that, and they see that as a total rejection, and it's only going to make the matter worse. You have to come from a place of unconditional love. If your child knows, I will love you no matter what, they're more apt to come to you. And I always told my kids, be honest with me. I may be angry at the time, and I probably will be angry at the time, but if I find out you lied to me, your consequences are going to be greater. And again, I am not the perfect parent, but this is what I've learned. I have a really strong relationship with my children now. There was a point where my former husband hated me more than he loved the kids, and he took the kids against their will, and it was a battle getting them back. Again, you're tempted to say negatives against the other. Please don't do that, because it sits with the kids. They love their parent no matter what. Even if they can see negative aspects in the parent, they still love that parent. And that goes for adult children too. They don't want to hear negatives about the other parent. Unless, of course, if that other parent is hurting the child, you have to step in and do something about that. But again, you don't want to put the child on the spot. You don't want to make the child feel like they have to choose a parent. You chose that parent. So if you're not happy with that now, then you deal with that and you don't put your kids in the middle of it. Again, come from a place of unconditional love. Take care of the problem. Always be consistent. If they don't know how you're going to react, if you're reactive and they never know, they're not going to come to you. They're going to be hiding things from you. Let them know you care. If something good is going on, if they did something good, yay. You know what else I think is bad is when we give every kid an award. Why? In life, that's not the way it's going to be. Not every person's getting the promotion. You know what I mean? You can say, that's great, I'm glad you joined the team, but you know what? If you didn't win, you didn't win. You don't get a trophy. It's not going to kill them. it's going to shape them. You know, kids, they always got the trophy. Now they go out in the real world, and when they don't get the raise because it's a merit raise, they're broken. You know, we want to raise them. It's a balance. It's a balance. Don't be afraid to reach out for support. If you have support, you're more or less, you know, you're more likely to stay calm, because we need to stay calm and consistent. And if you are alone, you're having one of those days, it's a bad day, before you say or do something you'll regret, go lock yourself in the other room for a few minutes. They're safer that way than to have you say or do something that scars them forever. Make sure they're safe before you go. I'm not saying, leave them with, poison or, fire or firearms or anything, but, make sure they're safe, and kind of give yourself a break. Remember that these are little people. They're people. They have feelings. They need to learn things. And they're not just miniature size adults. They don't know. There's certain things they don't know. And I think we tend to forget that. And we're there to train them. So just kind of remind yourself of that. Be protective of the people that are around them, but not overprotective. Don't be too protective, because they need to learn. They need to fall. They need to get picked back up, And if something really major is going on, let them know that they can trust you. Even through the worst of the worst of the worst, they can trust you. I went through some stuff with my kids that I knew he was lying to me at every turn. I knew that. I knew that he was hurting inside. I knew that there was a lot going on. My kids had a father that was all discipline, and I remember them saying, when he took them, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And he said, too bad, suck it up. Their opinions didn't matter at all. Then I found myself overcompensating, giving them whatever they wanted. Wrong move. But one thing that all my kids will tell you is they know that I love them. Through all the mistakes that I made, they know that I love them, and they know that they can trust me. And I hope that's true of all of them. I have taught them that. And if you need help, please reach out. Don't reflect your own negatives onto your children. We have a whole generation that's I don't know, they're seeing their parents do drugs, they're seeing their parents fight, and it's a mess. Remember, they're growing up to be adults one day. If you need help, reach out, okay? Anyway, this is just a quick blurb, because I had some clients talk to me about some parenting issues, and I just figured I'd put it out there. As teenagers grow, just so you know, they do tend to pull back. Females tend to pull back from their moms, males from their dads. And if there's no other parent, or for whatever reason, sometimes it can be, the opposite or whatever. It's not always written in stone. I mean, like I said, kids are people. Don't take it personally. Sometimes some people's toddlers say, I hate you. Some people's teenagers say, I hate you. If you know in your heart that you are coming from a place of unconditional love, and you're doing everything that you're doing out of love, when they say that, is it going to hurt you? Yeah, it's going to cut you like a knife, but you know that it's their own growth, that it's not personal. Don't take things personally. Our kids will hurt us. It's bound to happen. And if you take it all personally, you're going to be very, very sad. If you've lost a child, or if you're going through something with a child, I do have resources and groups, and just message me and we can set you up with something, or we could do one-on-one, or like I said, I can hook you up with other individuals that are possibly going through the same thing. Anyway, you guys take care and have a great day.